like in his mud as Sammy. He's out there this morning rolling in it.
Oh, he will.
He wasn't a white pig. He was not a white pig. He was just a black pig.
I heard about Scott Holland, didn't you? For a few. You know Scott Holland? She's a Marvin.
He was just icky. But he thought he was cute.
I mean, you know, sorry.
Is that for review?
Still. Mine.
Call the meeting to order, and on this one, actually, would you like to give, who gave the invocation last time?
You're welcome.
Carrie did? Would anybody be interested?
Heavenly Father, we just come before you, Lord, and we thank you for this time to be able to come together. And we pray, Father, especially with money, we just pray, Lord, that you be with us and give us wisdom, Father, to do your will. And we just thank you for today and everyone that's here. In Jesus' name, amen.
If you would please join me.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
And we're going to roll call the board for us.
Renee?
Yes.
Lee?
Here.
Carrie?
Here.
One was absent. Kelly?
Here.
Larry, yes. Jeffrey?
Here. And then we need the number of electors present in the room. It's an annual meeting of the electors.
I have some names, I don't have all the names, so.
Okay, the number has to be official. I don't believe we necessarily need the exact names, but if anyone wants their name on the roll for the electors, it obviously can be on
There
it
are
as well.
nine electors and 6 board members.
Perfect. And so each one will, everyone in the room that's an elector that wants to vote on each of the resolutions, obviously will be able to vote. We'll also have public comment at the beginning and the end as well, if someone wants to speak on something. I included the entire packets because everyone in the room is voting for this. It's a little different than has been done in the past for a couple of reasons. One, previously, everyone in the room, the electors, were voting on the entire budget, and we saw last year that it was odd, and so wanted to look into that. The annual meeting of the electors has changed a lot over the years. Back when the first laws were coming in for local municipalities in the state of Michigan in 1846, the annual meeting of the electors was a lot like a Viking meeting where everything would be voted on verbally, including who was taking office for the year, things like that. Changed obviously a lot. Major law changes in 1988 and 2014. That makes it so that the annual meeting of the electors is not even an automatic thing. The board passes a resolution to hold a specific annual meeting of the electors. And now the purpose of it, and the purpose that it serves, is it stops the elected officials from giving themselves a big raise, which I think is a good thing to have in place. And so that is very reasonable. In the past, directly after that, there was a special meeting that Dalton would have, and that has to occur before the end of the year. It's a hearing on the budget itself. And so that it will not be after this meeting because we had adopted the resolution for the annual meeting but didn't get that notice published correctly early enough for the special meeting afterwards. So that is on there correctly, now it's published correctly, and so that'll be the special meeting on the 28th. I have to pack it out for that so that everyone can see what is in the budget, and that's posted online as PDF if people are interested in that. And I'll have to add one thing to that because we have to make budget amendments there too for everything to be tight and legal in the way it's supposed to be. All right, so we'll go into our first public comment. If anyone would like to come up and let us know what you think. All right. Then we will move on to the first salary resolution, which is for the supervisor. And everyone has 20 packets, so there should be enough for everyone in the room that wanted one. And you can see what it is here. There was no raise included in this. Just like last year, the board had proposed that the board wasn't going to give raises at the annual meeting. It had changed, which brought up the issue of looking into the annual meeting and what it's supposed to do more. So, Mr. not be swearing for anyone. Everyone wants to make a motion.
Inflation is almost 12%, why no raise again?
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable, and inflation, I think it's probably more than that if we calculate it in reality. And then property prices are going up by 3.3%, so it's a little bit all over the place. I don't feel like there's necessary raise for these positions. In the end, you have to serve this function because you have a responsibility to try to serve for this certain length of a term of time, and not necessarily as a career move. But of course, people do stay in these positions for a long period of time.
I know the ends can justify the means, but even when I was on the board, we decided no raise, no raise, no raise. How many times are you going to sit there and go, no raise, no raise, no raise? At some point, the people are going to go, you need a raise. And at some point, you're going to have to go, you need to get with the times and get with what your pay needs to match with outside in society.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
Last year, we matched Chief what he should, almost relatively should be being paid, what a chief should be being paid. He's not even close yet. So you guys should be getting with the times and get what a board should be getting close to being paid. In a median income right now for what a board should be being paid in Muskegon County should be actually close to about $67,000 per board member.
Okay, yeah, I think
That's roughly,
I think
if
it's
you
a
were to do
reasonable
the
perspective.
analytics of it.
Because the average is on the low side is $67,000 all the way up to $150,000.
Yeah, Dalton Township, though, I don't think can handle that kind of a budget.
It doesn't matter, that's
It
what
comes
you
to
guys
the
are,
taxpayers.
you guys are
We're
getting
not
below
saying we
no.
need to give you $67,000. We're just giving you the analytics of it.
You guys make less.
Right.
That's what we're stating. So that's the reality of it, and then inflation's still going up. So at one point in time, you guys are gonna be making below what inflation allows. So
So,
can you guys afford to pay?
I'm not saying that, 50 would be, far-fetched out of the reach of it. You need something.
Gas is getting expensive. Bills are gonna get expensive.
Groceries are expensive, come on.
It's an elected position. You
We're
don't
going
Some of
want
them
to
is
buy
their only
inflationary
Yeah.
economy, I agree.
Some people, that's their only income. Doesn't matter if it's an elected position, it's a pay.
Well, some
When
people
your
got
salary,
kids, too.
you can't go out and get some overtime. You can't do any of this bull crap. When you're working 80 freaking hours a week, you're working 80 hours a week. You're not getting overtime. You're on the clock 24 hours a day. Carrie knows it. Renee knows it. Lee knows it.
for a salary.
Mhm.
I mean, I
They
knew
don't
it.
clock in and clock out 9 to 5, they work every single day.
Yeah, sure.
Are you here? Peanut Gallery?
What, I'm sorry, am I here? Am I up by?
No.
Peanut Gallery back here.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Parnell's running this.
I know
business.
you're
I
here,
work-
Lori.
I work
live
24
down the
hours
road,
a
I stay
day.
a car here overnight sometimes, so I know you're here.
See, I'm not on the board anymore. I can tell Parnell to shut his fucking mouth.
You need to quit with the language too. Hey, it's time for the board, we don't need to use foul language in this place. Keep it
I'm not on the
simple.
board no more.
Doesn't
I can tell
matter,
you where to go.
you have to respect
Point
the
of
other
order.
people in the public.
So do you, quit talking under your breath then.
Yeah,
You can hear
so
me too.
let's just stick to making
You wanna
points
go up to the road
on the
and talk?
subject, and it's, I mean, the
Oh.
idea of having a raise to keep up with inflation is definitely a fair.
At least
fair
a little bit of a raise,
Oh, I'm
so
glad
you
I
guys
do.
at least can buy a gallon of milk and some groceries, come on.
I propose treasurer, clerk, supervisor go to 50, trustees go to 7. That's what I propose.
So you're making that as a motion?
I'm making that as a motion.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. And
I
so-
heard it.
Okay.
Gas is gonna be $7 a gallon.
I know, you
No
only
matter
need
where
two,
you
but I did have to
live,
put my.
it's gonna cost you.
Lori has her hand up, what's your respect?
Okay, so That was, your motion was the clerk, the treasurer, and the supervisor should go to 50,000,
And the
and
trustees
the
to seven.
trustees to 7.
Correct.
That's just to match inflation.
And so now we'll have discussion on that motion. So I'll go first, I'm sure there'll be more discussion. And I still feel, and I mean, it's at a personal level, but I feel like I am working to just serve in this position for this time that I'm slated for this term, and it's not a career move for me, obviously, and I think it's reasonable for us to not have a raise. I've been working on balancing the budget and everything, and I see the point of keeping up with inflation for the positions as well, but obviously I'm not for it. That's my personal position.
It's $64,000 extra, or
$6,400
$6,400 extra a year on each of the clerk, the supervisor, and the treasurer. That's all that you're going up. That's the match inflation.
It's not an atrocious amount.
It's not. That's a feasible amount. That's the match inflation that's going on right now. So it's not like we're asking you guys to go to $80,000. Majority of people in your positions making
I mean,
more than you.
the clerk from Muskegon County makes 130 grand a year. Sheriff Pooley makes 140 grand.
Right.
And they literally do less work than you guys.
You guys can look at the other area townships, they're making more than you guys, 70 plus.
I was
That
little-
just barely covers their gas and groceries.
Yes, go ahead, Renee.
I would just like to say, first of all, that I appreciate what you're saying, completely, 100%. We did not come into this position, at least Carrie and I, I'm uncomfortable with increasing, at least for trustees, because of the fact that last year, it jumped 1,000, which, again, we didn't come into this position for any pay. Basically, we're using it to pay our taxes on our house, which is pretty close to what we make, which is great for us. We didn't even expect that. So I appreciate what you're saying, and definitely when it comes to the full-time positions, you're right. They work a lot harder than most people realize. Because we are not here all the time, obviously, because we're not in full-time positions. But we see the work, not only just in the hours that they're here, but also in what they put out. So I appreciate, if at the very least, I appreciate your input. Appreciation goes a long way, especially in today's world. So I would just like to say that as a blanket statement. I would not like to see ours as trustees go up a second year in a row. I'm very uncomfortable with that. That's just my personal.
So the way we have this structured, and anyone can obviously continue to comment on this, is that the board had passed these 4 resolutions separately for the positions, all the trustees together. Right? And the way you made your motion was all of them as one. Do you know on that, Lori, do we have to separate those out, or can they all be as one? They can be separate. So
If the motion carries, it'll go from, we'll have to do one motion for supervisor, one for clerk, one for treasurer, and then the one for trustees, and put the dollar amounts in there.
All right, so the first one that I have on here is for supervisor. So your motion and your second would be for the supervisor to be at 50,000 even.
Correct.
Correct? Yes? All right, making sure. All right, so we have a motion and second for that. So is there any discussion on that before I call for a vote? Specifically on supervisor going to 50 grand a year, even.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does that 50,000 include the medical, dental, vision that are all free to?
That's separate. This is just salary. This is what this resolution is, just salaries.
Yes, my only question is, if the increase, where is it coming? Like,
The budget has to change.
we'll just have to change the whole thing from different areas.
Right now, the way the budget is set up is this $80,000 in the positive.
So what it is I will have to go through and I will have to adjust the budget to match the changes that, if these changes are approved. And then get it to Jeff so he can repost it, because that budget will no longer be valid.
So what you're saying is the raises will come out of surplus that we have,
It's gonna change the budget that has already been presented.
but there's a surplus.
Yeah, there is a
There is.
surplus.
There is the way it's set up right now. When we had the working session, that was originally set up at about over 500,000 upside down, right, pulling out of balance. And so what adjustments have been made since that time, and we have it in the position of being in an $80,000 surplus, right, the estimate over the next year.
So would the pay raises be let down to the residents?
Yes, it trickles down, what's gonna happen is that pay raise will change those line items up above. It will trickle down to the balance at the bottom of the budget. So it won't be an $80,000 surplus, it's gonna be, I don't know, because I would have to recalculate, because salaries also include payroll taxes.
The salaries come out of the general fund.
Yes,
That's where they come
not the
from.
general
Okay,
fund.
so will the residents see
Yes.
higher fees at the dump, or?
No,
No.
so those are separate issues. If we wanted to change the fees at the dump, that would be a separate issue from establishing the budget.
So
of the salary.
you're just taking your raises out of, so we'll, instead of
Raises will-
$80,000, we'll have 60.
It's only $23,200 for that salary increase, plus the taxes.
And so it's like all of the other items in the budget. They're playing out among each other, but we don't have something that we would like raise prices on somewhere. It wouldn't change something like that to make up.
No.
Those
It
are-
doesn't, it's not
those are
gonna
separate
change
issues.
anything, all it's gonna do is change the budget numbers and the bottom line.
Right. Does that make sense?
Can you add an extra half hour to your day? Instead of being open from 9 to 4:30, be open from 9 to 5.
Well, that would change a lot of stuff.
That would change everything.
Because then it changes the
that-
other
Everybody's rate, I mean, we are not hourly paid.
Right.
If we are open from 9 to 5, then we have to change the hourly rates
Okay.
for those people too, so. But yeah, so that will change the budget to about, I'm gonna estimate to about 55 in the plus, just to give myself room. I don't know what the payroll taxes will be on that. But at this point, it still looks like it will be positive.
And the budget is, of course, estimates.
And it is an estimate, correct.
All right. Anything else specifically on the motion for the supervisor's salary for $50,000? All right, then roll call everyone in the room.
Okay. Carrie,
No.
Renee,
No,
Lee, Kelly,
No.
Lori, no, Jeffrey,
No?
Gerald,
Yes.
Rhea.
Yes.
I'm gonna go through the names, I know people, so.
Yes, yeah.
Arnell,
No.
Dan,
No.
Wanda,
No.
Christie.
no,
Forgive me, I don't know your names.
This is Linda Slater.
Linda,
Do you need to pass something?
Yes.
and I'm sorry, your name is, sir?
Robert Skidmore.
And your
Yes.
vote? Out of 15, so it does not pass.
Alan is an elector.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alan. Alan, you're abstaining?
All right,
So it does not pass.
so That does not pass.
So I make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 fiscal year salary for Dalton Township Supervisor as stated in Resolution 2022-02.
I second
For a
that.
salary of $43,599.63.
I second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the salary as it is. Comments on this motion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Carrie,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes, ma'am.
Lee,
Yes.
Kelly. Yes. Lori, yes. Jeffrey,
Yes.
Gerald,
No.
Rhea,
No.
Parnell.
What are we voting on?
We're voting on the
Staying the
proposed
same.
salary, the same as last year.
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Wanda. Yes. Christie,
Yes.
Linda,
No.
Robert.
No.
That motion passes.
And if
Alan.
anybody wants to stay here.
I knew that was going to, but sorry, I apologize.
All right, so that one passes. And we're on to the clerk. Anyone wants to make a motion on this?
I make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 fiscal year salary of Dalton Township Clerk as stated in Resolution 2022-03.
Support.
Motion, supported by Dan. Any discussion on the clerk? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Carrie,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes, ma'am.
Kelly. Yes. Lori, yes. Jeffrey,
Yes.
Gerald,
No.
Rhea.
No.
Back to my list, forgive me. Parnell,
Yes.
Wanda,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Linda,
No.
Robert,
No.
Alan.
Is everyone in the room? That passes. Next, we have the treasurer.
I make the motion to approve the 2022-2023 fiscal year salary for Dalton Township Treasurer as stated in Resolution 2022-04.
Motion by Carrie, supported by Lee. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Carrie,
Yes.
Lee, Renee,
Yes, ma'am.
Kelly,
Yes.
Lori, yes. Jeffrey,
Yes.
Gerald,
No.
Rhea,
No.
Dan,
Yes.
Parnell,
Yes.
Wanda,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Linda,
No.
Robert.
No.
Motion passes.
Going with Alan abstaining.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alan.
Next, we have the trustees, which all four are set at the same level, so this is written out as them being the same as well.
May I make the motion to approve 2022-2023 fiscal year salary for Dalton Township Trustees as stated in Resolution 2022-05.
Support.
Motion by Carrie, supported by Lee. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Carrie,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Renee, Kelly,
Yes.
Lori, yes. Jeffrey,
Yes.
Gerald,
No.
Rhea, Parnell,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Wanda,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Linda,
No.
Robert,
No.
Alan.
Motion passes. All right, we are to our second public comment section. If anyone would like to make public comment, they're welcome to. Seeing none, hearing none, we are looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Support.
Motion by Carrie, support by Lee, I think came in first. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Adjourned.